Alright guys, we'll get started in just a minute. There is the tiny URL link for the Join Me. We've got 34 people watching, 34 people listening, 23 people watching, so click that link and we'll get started in just 1 minute. Okay, now we got 55 people, 57 people watching and only 45 people listening. Alright, I'll give it another 30 seconds for these guys while I finish my apple. I got apple in my portfolio and apple in my stomach. You can't go wrong on the apple diet. Okay. Let's do this. And pennies is black now, apparently. Great. So, no questions were submitted today. Well, there were 2 questions submitted today, but both of them were topics that we covered in previous classroom sessions. And I want to show you guys something because I don't think a lot of people know how to do it. And that's how to search Stockhaven. So if you have Google Chrome, if you start typing in stockhaven.com, okay, and then you click the tab button, it's on the left hand of the keyboard for me, that'll bring up a search stockhaven.com keyword tab, right? So then if you're wondering, if you have a question about level 2, okay, and you want to learn more about level 2, before you submit your question though, you should search our site. Type in level 2. And what that'll do is that will return every single post we've done that talks about level 2. And maybe you want to put it in parentheses. So that eliminates some of the other stuff. So make sure you're putting it in parentheses. So now you have all of these posts where we've gone over level 2 will show you what you're looking for. Okay, we've got videos, all types of stuff, right? Okay, so that's one way to search our site. Again, that's by going to stockhaven.com like this and then clicking tab. Then if you want to search what have I written about Apple, you type it in. Now you have any post we've done on Apple will show up in that filter. Okay? So that's one way. Then there's another way. So there should be no excuses. This toolbox in the left-hand corner of our site. Okay? It's on the home page of the site. It's the same thing. Type in level 2 and search. Now you have anything and everything that we've ever covered on level 2. Okay? Maybe there's something on momentum. If you have a question about momentum trades, now here you have anything we've written about in terms of momentum. Obviously, the at the bell, at the close posts aren't going to be very relevant to you in terms of learning, but the Stockhaven classroom from yesterday that has momentum in it is going to have some good things in it. Classroom from 412, 411, okay? So, you know, I get a lot of questions from you guys, which is good because it tells me people want to learn, but I'm not going to waste my time re-explaining things. The reason we record things and the reason we have stuff like Trading University is so it's here for your use more times than once. So please, before you send in questions, make sure that you've done your part in taking the time to figure out if you're about to ask a question that's been answered before. Because all I'm going to do is respond and say, this question has been covered before. You can find it on our blog. Okay? And this is how you would do it with a search like that. Maybe you'll get lucky and I'll actually find the link for you depending on how my day is going. Like today, since Apple was just beautiful, I had no problem going out of my way to find the link for the couple people who sent it in. And then again, also, I got a question on, I got another one of these questions today with somebody asking me like why somebody would do something. You know, why would somebody, the question was in terms of why would somebody hold all the way up and then sell on the way down? And again, those are the types of questions that I'm just not going to be able to answer because questions like that are asking me to go into the mindset of an individual, and while I may be the Plato of stocks, I don't have that ability, not yet anyways. I'm working on it, but my powers are not yet that strong. So remember to ask questions that can be answered objectively, because otherwise, I just can't. The expression, put yourself in their shoes, you can't really do it in terms of stock trading, because nobody can tell you how you would feel in a certain situation, because we're not in that situation. And without our money physically being on the line, it's just impossible for us to try and understand that. So try and avoid those questions if you can. Okie dokie. So again, like I said, no questions today, only a couple charts. I've put them here. First one is THQI. So let's check that out. I believe we covered this one yesterday and said it needed to stay above the 66 level and get above yesterday's high on good volume. Well, we stayed above the 66 level. Our low today was 69.4. And we got above yesterday's high of 74. We closed at 74 with a high of 75. And the story remains the same. Now we need to break above this 78.9 level. And we need to stay above this low of 69.4 and definitely this low of 66. Aside from that, I covered this one, let's see, in extreme detail yesterday during our chart session. So, nothing's really changed, good or bad, other than the trend is continuing for now. So if you want more refresher on what might come next, watch it yesterday, because again, I'm not going to cover things that there hasn't been a significant change since the last time we talked about them. Amazon. Earnings tomorrow after hours. Keep in mind, for those of you thinking about playing it, don't get burned by not knowing that earnings are coming out. But what I like here in the last 100 days, even though the stock is relatively unchanged since December 1st, it closed December at 195, and here it is back at 195, so it's relatively unchanged. We've got something that's leaning me towards being bullish from looking at this chart. Maybe somebody in chat can tell me what I like about a chart like this that really hasn't gone anywhere, what I'm seeing that I'm bullish on. Yes, Cam is exactly right. Even though it hasn't gone anywhere and we haven't exactly been rocketing higher, we've avoided the moves lower. Okay, we've put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 higher lows here. So the path of least resistance, it's not to the downside. And that's evidenced by these higher lows, where we really have a pretty nice uptrend, ever so slightly, off of these low levels. Okay? And since March 1st in particular, there's been a lot more up days than down days. The up days are coming on higher volume. The down days are coming on lower volume. So overall, the last 100 days, that's the first thing I noticed. Much higher, higher lows throughout, and a constructive volume pattern. And in the very short term, we just got above this recent high at 194.55. We traded above that today at 194.80. Okay? Now, let's pull it back out and look a little further and see what we've got going on. Okay, so, this is a stock that, while it's up about 10% on the year, it is still well off of its 2011 highs. 2011 high was 246, so at 195, that's what, $51 off the high. That's about a 21% off the highs. So this is a chart that, if it can open up and can get going to the upside, we could see a really nice move if we can break above these prior highs here. Now let's go back even further and check out a weekly. All right, so since 2010, Amazon's pretty much unchanged. So it came in the first week of 2010, it closed 2010 around 185, and here it is at 195 a year later. So anybody who's been holding has been frustrated by Amazon, and it does, just like we saw a period of higher lows on the last 100 days daily chart. The bears would say, well, you've got a lot of lower highs. You had this high here, the all-time high. Then you had a lower high a week later, another lower high, another lower high, okay? And then this high is above this high, but it's still a lower high compared to this high. So there's arguments to be made both ways here. In the immediate term, my bias would be to the upside because of these higher lows. From a longer term perspective, I would say until Amazon can break above this high at 209.85, so just call it 210 for simplicity's sake, it will still have a kind of cautious outlook from a longer term perspective. However, if it can break this high, then the bearish argument of long-term lower highs will start to lose credibility, because now we'll be talking about 6 months removed from its all-time high. We broke above this lower high here just recently, and then if we break above 210, we'd be breaking above this high right here from March 26th. Now, the problem is, of course, earnings are tomorrow after hours. So the stock is likely to make a big move in one direction or the other after that release. So you can get bullish here, but if earnings beat, it's probably going to go past 210 and trigger that upside breakout we just talked about. If they miss, it's going to have a real test of these lows, because it's going to need to stay above this 183.65 to 186 level in order to keep the string of higher lows intact. So it's all about what your strategy is going to be. Do you want to risk? Do you want the potential risk reward of playing it ahead of earnings in the options market and being exposed to a big move in both directions? Or do you want to wait, see what the move is, and then put your position on then, where you would be losing some of the potential reward from a either bearish or bullish bet, but you would be trading that off for a bit of certainty, because the stock's outlook is likely to become much more clear from a technical perspective once earnings are reported. If you didn't tell me earnings were tomorrow and you just wanted me to talk about the chart, I would say I'm bullish on Amazon. I like these higher lows. The market backdrop overall is positive right now, and the long-term chart, while it has been somewhat bearish over the last year and a half, from a longer-term perspective of 5 years, this is a chart that is very much on a very, very strong uptrend, and you can see that it has held this uptrend line pretty perfectly and is on it right now. So those would be my thoughts. It's all about what type of position do you want to put yourself in. SCEI downtrended for a long time after this big move higher, and we got a breakout today, which is nice. We broke above the recent highs of the last couple weeks. However, we stalled out at $2, which isn't that surprising because it was an area of congestion back here in early April. So we need to get above today's high. The volume was good. Highest volume since this date here, March 29th. Okay, let's look longer term. So a lot of volume here. You can see this was a prior high. Here's where we go with what gets interesting when it comes to technical analysis. We always talk about prior highs, when they get taken out, becoming new support. So this was a prior high between 150 and 165. Look at where the stock has found its bottom, 161, okay? So right back into that range of the prior highs. So you, at 196, your key support is going to be now kind of the top end of this range that it was just able to break above. There's no reason now that it should give up all of its gains from today. Okay, so that means this 177 to 185, so just call it 175 to 185, that's your key support for this trend. Let's see what happened on the intraday chart. And lo and behold, that's where your greatest volume burst occurred. Okay, so that's perfect. Why is that perfect? Because that's where the most demand was, so we would expect there to be demand again if it should come back to that level, since it has now been able to break above it. Okay, so 175 to 185 is going to be your key support for this. Ideally, it won't even get that close to it, and it'll be able to stay above this 185 to 190 range. If it can do that, that'd be great. You've got resistance between $2 and $2.05, and then above that level you have this recent high at 208. The opening, look at this, we've got a close at 211 and an open at 212 and a close at 214. So this 208 to 214 level represents some congestion. If we can break above there, we'd have this low around 220 to 225. Above that, we could really open up and test that 250 level. Okay. RSRS, starting to show some signs of a reversal. What we need is we need a breakout above today's high tomorrow. It closed at 94 cents, I believe. Not sure why it's showing a print at 905. Must have been something after hours. But I thought I saw it close at 94 cents. I'm pretty sure it did. Let's go on stock charts really quickly. Yeah, it closed at 94 cents. So this chart obviously looks better than this one. So that's a nice day today. I mean, the bottom line, this thing needs to get back above a buck. I wouldn't expect there to be some good momentum returning until it's able to get back above a buck. What I like is a lot of people obviously on these 2 days, have losses or took losses and whatnot. But what I like is the stock could have easily just fell below this 80-cent level and moved to new lows, and it just would have definitely been done, right? People already think that this one's quote-unquote done. My gut tells me it's not. But what will kind of reaffirm that is a move back above $1. I think that's when you'd see volume return. I like the low volume in this range, not a lot of selling going on, and clearly somebody is buying, somebody is supporting it for one reason or another. So if we can get this move back towards $1 tomorrow and above and hold this kind of 90-cent range, so we closed at 88 yesterday, the low the day prior was 93, the low the day before that was 90, low 82, low 84, closed at 88, low 83, closed at 94, and there was a big bid at 90 cents. So this 90-cent level, I'd like to see us stay above that now, okay, and then get back above a buck. And if we can do that, I would expect better volume, and I would expect more traders to start stepping in. I think people are kind of on the fence, wondering if this one's going to turn out, so they're kind of just holding off on playing it, and then maybe once they see it, it's one of those cases where I say I would rather buy it at $1 on the way back up than buy it at 94 cents and hope that it gets back to $1. I think that's the prevailing approach with this one right now with RSRS. So that's what we need to see. And if we do get back above a buck, we want to see it happen on good volume of at least 1 million shares. And if we have one of these 1.5 to 2.5 million share days, then we certainly I would expect to move back to the 110 to 130 range, and if it wasn't able to get there, then that would mean there's too much dilution, and that would be a reason of concern, a reason for concern, I should say. SEPHIE, we warned you last night this thing was getting tired, and we warned you all day this morning that it looked tired at the open, so hopefully everybody got out okay. What tipped me off? Well, here we go. 15-minute chart, 1 day. You can react to this stuff in real time, and many people, I know especially Bill, saw me pointing it out this morning within the first half hour. Yesterday, first 15 minutes, 3.1 million shares. Second 15 minutes, 1.6 million shares. Today, 1.37 million shares first 15 minutes. Second 15 minutes, 1 million shares. Okay? What's the problem there? Somebody explain to me why that was a red flag to me. Why I was saying be very careful based on that. Yes, less volume, but what does that mean? What does that mean? What does the less volume than the previous day mean? Yes, exactly. Not as much demand, okay? And the problem with that is, what do I always say previous demand becomes at a future point? Let's go. Where's take notes at? Exactly. Not future resistance is the word, but future supply, which in turn is resistance. Turns out to be resistance. So we have all of this demand right here coming in at 240, 230 yesterday, okay? And this demand in this range, presumably at higher prices, is going to become future supply. And in order to work through that future supply, we need even greater demand, or at least equal to or close to it. We did not get that at the open this morning. That's why I knew, well, I didn't know, but that's why I was warning people that SEPHIE could be in trouble. The other thing we talked about was this low at 262. We talked about this last night. It was recorded. You can go and watch it. Whole thing. We said if this low at 262 breaks, it's going to be a straight shot to 250, and if 250 breaks, it could get really ugly. Well, we broke 262, went straight through 250, and things got really ugly. I'm talking pennies ugly, okay? And straight down to 180. Now, with all of that said, Stock Market Authority alerted this thing officially late in the day Friday, but most people, I would say, got the alerts Monday. My gut feeling based on my experience with these things is they're not going to let this thing be done with after 3 days. Okay? So what do we need to see happen? Let's again look at the 15-minute chart. All right, so we essentially just gave up all the gains for the week with this shakeout today. It bounced off 180. That was the open for the week on Monday. Okay? So, and then it had these lows here around $2. So we need to stay above this $2 to $2.10 range. That's going to be our new support. Okay? 2 to 210 is new support. If it can break above 223 on high volume at the open tomorrow of greater than 2 million shares, I would expect that the uptrend will resume, or at least it's going to have some upside consolidation, meaning it'll consolidate, but it'll do so between 230 and 250 versus 180 and $2. Okay? So I'm looking for greater than 2 million shares within the first 15 minutes tomorrow as the price is rising. These lows here, 235, 238, 244, 238, 237. So 235 to 240 is going to become new resistance. Why? Because previous area of support is now a future area of resistance, previous area of demand, future area of supply, okay? So that's going to be our resistance level. Then we also have these highs, 255, 258, 268, that had to have been a fat finger, 266. So then the 255 to 260 range would then be, our next resistance. Above that, everybody's just going to be thinking, well, that was cool. I'm glad I didn't get shaken out, or I'm glad I bought shares, because people will naturally just be targeting a move back towards the recent highs. Again, we say it every day, all day. Sell on the way up. You might not get the top, but you damn sure won't get the bottom, okay? If you had a plan for selling SEPHIE at various points, just psychological numbers, 250, 275, so on and so forth, yeah, you say, I sold it all at 250 and it hit 295. Damn, I left all this money on the table. Well, you know what? You didn't have to worry about trying to sell when it was going from 290 down to 180, because I guarantee you it was a hell of a hard time to do so. Okay? So sell on the way up. You're not going to get the top, but you're going to miss out on this big move. Just like you're going to miss out on some extra profits, you're going to miss out on an even scarier thought, which is profits turning into loss, or good profits turning into little profits. Okay? So if SEPHIE does resume its uptrend, remember, sell on the way up. Now, personally, I wouldn't be surprised if it broke all-time highs, because undoubtedly today, a lot of shorts jumped in, given the price action. I guarantee you a lot of shorts jumped in because it was ugly price action. So they've got some shorts floating around in here now, which could be good, because if they can stabilize the chart and resume an uptrend, then they can get a short squeeze. CSOC, this was promoted yesterday, and today it's done. I mean, this is typical for one-day promotions that don't have any more promotion following them. And yeah, I mean, this is what happens. Maybe he was told that there'd be promotion following him, but there clearly wasn't, I wouldn't think. So I would expect this to just consolidate. I don't like how much of yesterday's gains it gave up on so little volume. That tells me there's a lot of dilution that went on the last 2 days. So I just, I'd wait. Just wait on this one. Let's see if it can stabilize above 008 or get back above a penny. Then we can discuss it further. IPRC, beautiful chart. Broke out past its most recent highs, closed at the high of the day. Just looks great. Highest volume on back-to-back up days. In the stocks, at least 1 year, 2 years. So in the stock's history, highest volume on back-to-back up days. That's good stuff. Highest volume on a weekly basis in the stock's history. Okay. So as for resistance, this 40-cent level is really key. If we can break 40 cents, I would not be surprised. We've got this high at 45, this high at 44, this high at 43. So 44, 45 cents would be next resistance, and then 50. Above 50, we have these lows at 60. Okay, so this is a nice chart that could perform quite well. Even though there's been a lot of volume here, and you say to yourself, oh man, I missed the load zone. Okay, that may be true. But if you look today, highest volume day, all the volume is pretty much, majority of it is coming between 30 and 36 cents. So if you're buying at 36.25, you're only buying 20% higher than where all the volume traded. Yeah, that is a decent amount, but all you guys bought SEPHIE on Friday or Monday at 170. And this thing's up 100% from where all the volume started trading. SNPK, peeps were buying it around 80 cents, 90, and it was up 100%. So you got to put things in perspective. 20%, paying 20% premium to where all the volume has just traded in penny stocks is not bad. It's not great. Obviously, you want to be as close to where all the volume traded as possible. But the other side of that is, you want the chart to be able to show the ability to rise. So if you're able to get in where all the volume traded, then you have to question, well, why was I able to get in at this level? Maybe there's dilution. Maybe it's going to reverse and go lower. You want to see charts showing you the ability to increase in price. And that's what IPRC is doing, which is great. So let's see if we can break that 40-cent level. Let's check out the volume here, 15-minute volume. So volume at the open today, first 15 minutes was 400K. Volume yesterday at the open was 490K. But you had huge volume here at the close, 700,000 shares. So let's see if it does more than 500 to 700,000 shares within the first 15 minutes today. Tomorrow, I'd be pretty bullish on this, and I'd be looking for a move above 40. Okay, so that is it. Tomorrow's class is our last one for the week. I recorded this. I will be uploading it to YouTube. So everybody have a good day and night, depending on what part of the world you are in. You guys are welcome. Look at Bill. What a goofball.